Hi guys, Denise here with a quick message for you to hopefully start your new year off right here in 2018. So the holidays are winding down. There's like the sense of calm that I'm starting to settle into, a return to normalcy with my routine. And that's very refreshing. And in stark contrast, although I didn't really realize it at the time so much, to that sort of frenzied and chaotic state of getting through the holidays. And now that it's in juxtaposition with my now self and my then self, I'm kind of realizing how truly chaotic and go we can all get during the holidays. And I was sort of helped me to self-reflect on a little incident that occurred, just not a big deal, but something that I thought I'd share with you during that sort of holiday rush. So I was, in go mode. I was overstretched, stretched way too thin, taking on too much, overcommitting. You probably can relate to this, especially during the holiday times, where we're just trying to pack too much into too short a time and take it all on ourselves. Well, that's a recipe for disaster, right? When you're doing too much, when you're in stress mode, that's when mistakes happen, and they certainly did. So I found myself in this mode, and I made a series of mistakes. I missed an appointment. I was late for a meeting. I let a few things slip, and and it was all in a very short period of time. And by the time the last little ball fell, the ball dropped, I began to get really down on myself and beat myself up about it. Internally, I had these negative self-talk loops start in my head. You're like, "Wow, Denise, you really dropped the ball. You're not living up to your job. You really are letting things slip." Really kind of beating myself up, and it wasn't good. But what happened was, since I'm sort of trying to teach myself this, to become self-aware of these kinds of negative, self-sabotaging thoughts, I was able to stop. You can envision a stop sign in your head when you find yourself in these loops, actual physical stop signs. Stop those thought processes. And I asked myself, would you say these things to your best friend, to your mother, to your child? And the answer is, of course, no. I would never speak like that to somebody that I loved. And then if it's not okay for them, it's not okay to talk to myself that way either. We need to treat ourselves with as much respect as we would treat, anyone that we love. It's a very easy thing to do, to get into that self-criticism mode. And a little self-critique can go a long way. It can propel us into greatness. But that beating ourselves up, that's a different story. And we can internalize that, and the subconscious will actually start to believe whatever it is that we tell ourselves. So if we tell ourselves we're a failure, guess what? We're going to act more, make more mistakes and act more towards that end. If we tell ourselves that we are successful, that we're only human, which is what I told myself then, I said, I'm only human. I make mistakes. This is a sign to me that I need to slow down, prioritize, reorganize, and not stretch myself so thin. And so that's how I was able to turn that around from a self-sabotage standpoint to a self-encouraging standpoint, because, we are our own worst critics. It's just true. We are. When in fact, we should be our own biggest fans. We should be encouraging ourselves. So here's my message for you for the new year. If you do find yourself making mistakes or down on yourself or beating yourself up for small things or large things, I want you to do what I did. Stop and ask yourself if you would say those things to a loved one. And if the answer is no, turn it around and encourage yourself instead. Forgive yourself for the mistakes. It's not going to correct the mistakes, but it will allow you to pick yourself up and go forward and learn from them. So everybody can practice this. It's all part of wellness, and I want that for all of us, actually. So anyway, I hope that's useful for you. If you enjoyed this video, I always appreciate shares and likes if you find it amusing or entertaining, or even helpful. And as always, live well, feel well, be well. Thanks, guys.